Chapter 10. On October 10th at exactly 5:30 p.m., Swindle Palomino left his store and drove off in his Honda Element. He never noticed two furtive eyes peering out of a narrow alleyway at the end of the block. One moment later, Griffin teetered onto the sidewalk, struggling with a heavy-laden hand truck. Balanced on the cargo ledge was a large crate that might have held a 33-inch TV, but it did not hold a 33-inch TV. There was a grunt of pain as the hand truck bounced over the spot of broken pavement, and a voice from inside the box hissed, "Watch it!" Griffin said nothing. In the Trojan War, talking to the warriors hidden inside the wooden horse was a definite no-no. Twisting his neck to see over his shoulders, he backed down the street and peeked in the open gate in front of Palomino's Emporium. Perfect. No customers. Tom Dufferin was alone, tidying up the sales counter. Griffin frowned. The assistant manager had a clear view of the door. "Come on," he thought. "Move." A minute passed, then two. Sweat formed on Griffin's brow. How long could he stand here before someone noticed a 1,000-pound crate in the care of an 11-year-old delivery man? At last, Dufferin picked up an armload of comics and headed to a display case at the back of the shop. Now! Griffin nearly dislocated both shoulders, tipping the load so he could roll it again. Ears roaring, he hauled the shipment in through the gate and set it down at the entrance. Uh-oh. The hand truck was stuck under the weight of the container. He couldn't budge it. "What's going on?" came an urgent whisper from the box. "What's all that shaking?" "Shh," Griffin hissed. Inside the store, Dufferin had finished shelving the comics. In another few seconds, he'd come back at the front. Griffin marshaled his strength and gave a mammoth yank. With a screech, the cargo ledge pulled free. One of the metal handles whacked him in the mouth, and he staggered back, tasting blood. Reeling, he scampered out through the gate. It had been close, but he'd made the drop-off. The operation had begun. Tom Dufferin frowned at the bulky crate that had suddenly appeared at the door. He hadn't heard the delivery truck. It must have come in the last few minutes, when he'd been in the back. He examined the brown paper that covered the wooden frame. It bore the address of the shop and the message. "Attention, Swindle Palomino. Personal and confidential. To be opened by address E only." With a shrug, Tom dragged the heavy container inside. Idly, he wondered what was so special that Palomino himself had to open it. Printed matter, probably, judging by the weight. Someone's lifelong collection of comic books or magazines. He set the store's alarm, stepped out, and locked the door behind him. Whatever it was, the boss would deal with it when he arrived the next morning. On the side of the glass, the paper moved ever so slightly, the rustle of nervous breath through the air holes. There were times that Ben Slovak wished he had an ordinary best friend instead of the man with the plan. An ordinary best friend would never have convinced him to shut himself in a TV crate to get inside Palomino's Emporium. That was definite. As Trojan horses went, the crate was a kind of a cramped affair. Ben was the smallest kid in the 6th grade. Still, he had to lie on his side with his knees pulled to his chest to fit into the small space. "No pain, no gain," he reminded himself. "This is for $1 million." For some reason, the money didn't seem quite real to him. Helping the Bings, saving them from having to sell their house, that was real. He'd do anything not to lose Griffin. But $1 million for a baseball card? Science fiction. Yet the weight of all that cash closed in on him as he relentlessly as the frame of the crate. Stealing something worth $1 million was the same as stealing the million itself, wasn't it? On top of everything else that made him uneasy about this caper, he couldn't escape the feeling that they might be committing a very serious crime. He peered through the gloom at his watch. 6:03. Sundown was supposed to come at 6:57. After that, the plan added 30 minutes more to let it get dark. By that time, it would be impossible to read the dial. "Count," Griffin had instructed. Easy for him to say. 87 minutes equaled 5,220 seconds, and hey, now it was 6:05. The first 120 seconds were already over. He could start at 1:21, 1:22, 1:23. Just before 200, he was aware of the first yawn. "Stop it," he commanded himself. Nobody falls asleep in the middle of a heist. Yet, as he counted doggedly on, he could feel his eyelids getting heavier, the way they always did. No, not here, not now. He had barely reached 500. 5:29. His voice filled the empty store. 5:30. This was crazy. Fear alone should be keeping him awake. Did Achilles get caught napping inside the Trojan horse? 801, 802. He actually counted 803, but he was no longer awake to hear it.